So I just want to start off by first giving you a quick overview of TRP, who we are, the retention people, and then I will walk you through, for those of you who had the old club count, some of the new features, and for those of you who are brand new, the entire system, obviously, and the new club count software. Okay. So TRP, we are a research and software company. We have a number of software tools solely for the health and fitness industry. Some of you may already work with us and use some of our other tools, such as our digital, our Net Promoter Score, Interactive, or mobile. We've been in the North American market now for just a little over 3 years. And what we look to do is support operators or facilities such as yourselves in delivering on the promise that you first make a member when they join your club. They first sign up. So when a member signs up, you and your teams make them specific promises about the facility, the cleanliness, the service, the programs, the activities, communication, and so on. What we look to do is support you with those. So from a member's perspective, they feel that they have had the level of service that they were promised on day one when they first joined. So ultimately, our services and our software help to bridge the gap between that promise that you make and what you actually deliver. A key part of what we do is we invest a lot of time, money, and resources in research within the fitness industry. We have access to over 25, almost 30 million member records globally, and we constantly analyze those member records to identify specific member trends and behaviors. And what we found as part of that research, which I'm sure you won't be surprised to hear, is that group exercise actually influences member attendance and ultimately how long they actually stay in your facilities. So our TRP 10,000 is our most recent research, in which we emailed 250,000 members, and we asked them a series of questions. Questions such as why they liked the facility, why they joined, what they thought of personal training, why they attended, why they left. Also part of the survey, we asked questions relating to their attitude towards group exercise. So how often they attended, why they attended, is Group X part of their workout routine, and a number of other questions relating to Group X. And again, we link that to their actual visit frequency and their ultimately their length of stay, so how long they stayed within your facilities or within those facilities. And I'm going to share with you some of that actual research from the TRP 10,000. So we found that those members who attended Group X were least likely to report multi-club history, meaning that if they attended Group X classes, they would actually stay at one club longer. They were less likely to cancel or move on to your competition. We also found that long-standing members, and long-standing members being those members that have been with a facility at least 3 years, are 87% more likely to report use of Group X, so they participate in group exercise in some way. And we also found that 70% of those who did participate were mostly long-standing members. We also found that the Group X participants were also more likely than gym-only members to attend more regularly, and 55% less likely to be men, which is probably not a surprise that we still have more females engaged in Group X. And we also saw consistency across the ages. So we had from 16 to 84 actually answer the survey, and we found that there was a consistency across the ages with regards to group exercise. So ultimately, again, the question that we were looking to answer was, does Group X improve retention? And we found that we saw 26% less, those who participate in Group X were less likely to cancel their membership. And we also saw a reduction in attrition by 60 members per 1,000. So if you had two groups within the facility, a group of 1,000 that attended classes and a group of 1,000 that didn't, we saw 60 less cancellations in those who actually attended. So again, ultimately we saw that there was an influence with regards to member retention and attrition. So moving on to the software, I am going to highlight 4 of the key differences between the new system and the old system, and then I will get into the live demo of the software. So in the current system, if you do have the current or old CLUBCOUNT you're working with templates. So the templates actually expire, they stop being live, you have to renew those templates anytime you make a change to your schedule. With the new system, it's based off a live timetable. So works very similar to a Google Calendar, an Outlook Calendar, an iCalendar, whichever one of those you're familiar with. You'll make a change from a certain date and it will apply from that date moving forward. So for instance, if you want to create a new schedule or if you have a new studio that's available to you in August and you want to create a new schedule for that studio, you would just navigate to that specific day in August, create your schedule, create the programs within that schedule, and all the days moving forward, that schedule would be created within that studio. You'll also see some new reporting. This is an example of a traffic light report. We call it a traffic light report, and it really highlights 3 KPIs, your cost per head, your capacity target, and your attendance target as well. So what this will allow is for you to see at any given time a snapshot of how your programs are actually performing. And the idea here is if you see something that's of concern, the red light for instance, you have the ability to drill down and get more detail on what's going on within that specific program. This is one of the key changes that you will see as we go into the live system. The new system will take into account instructors' pay rates, and there are a number of areas within the software that will feature those pay rate and use it to support. The first key one is the payroll report. So now that you are tracking pay rates, which instructors are teaching which classes, tracking attendance in each class, we are then able to pull that information for you into a payroll report. This has been a huge time saver for the clubs that are actually using it. They've actually saved a number of hours pulling their payroll from this report rather than manually doing it. The system also now supports budgeting. So when you are setting a budget for each studio, you can then keep an eye or an overview on how you are doing compared to the actual budget as you start building your timetable. And you'll see that as I get into the live system, how that actually works. And then finally, for those of you with more than one location, one of the biggest changes is multi-site functionality. So the login that you were provided or will be provided if you haven't received one will allow you access across all your sites. So from having the ability to assign instructors across multi-sites, to assign programs across multi-sites, the ability to look at reporting across multi-sites. So with that one login, you'll have the ability to look at all locations without having to log into each of those locations individually. So once you receive your login credentials, you'll receive a user ID and a password, as well as the web link, the link to log in. Once you log in there, you put in your login user ID and password, and it will take you to the system. So I'm just going to go to the live system now. So once you log in, you'll be directed to this page. What I will need you to do is move to your Group Studios page. All right, so at the top here, just navigate to Group Studios. So before we actually get into the system, I just want to take you through some of the help functions that are available to you. So on the right-hand side here, you'll see a small icon with a chalkboard here. So this will allow you to see a number of tutorials by clicking on here. There are a number of tutorials. These will walk you through each feature of the system. So you'll always have the ability to give yourself a refresher at any time if you don't use some portions of the software as often as others. Once you log in, you should see a welcome to CLUBCOUNT. It would be useful if you went through this quick tutorial to give you a quick overview again of CLUBCOUNT. You'll also notice as I hover over some of the fields here, you'll see a gray toolbox pop up as I hover over those. This just lets you know what type of information is required in those fields and why the information is actually required. Once you're familiar with the system, you can toggle that off just on the right-hand corner again, this small question mark. You can toggle off the tooltips if you don't want those to appear. And then lastly, on the bottom right-hand corner, this help function. If all else fails, this will take you to our help desk portal, and in there is a series of frequently asked questions, shorter webinars similar to what I'm doing today, as well as you will have the ability, if you still aren't finding what you need, you can raise a help desk ticket here and let us know what you're struggling with. Our global support team will actually get back to you with anything that you need help with. All right, so getting on to the software, the order I will walk you through is first I'm going to take you through the one-off task areas of the software that you will be in less often. You won't have to be in as often. Then the more day-to-day operational stuff like recording the attendance and pulling off the reports. So if you did have the old club count, all your old information or your previous club count information, including your studios, your instructors, any other data that was in your system would have been transferred over, so you will see all that. If you are a new club count customer, you will need to start creating your own studios as well. So if you did have the old club count, you should see your studios here. If you did not, you'll need to create them. Also, if you're lucky enough, if you were a club count customer to have a new studio available to you, you can add it here as well. So adding a new studio, just click the Add Studio, whatever that studio name is here. The size of the studio and the budget for the studio, these will become relevant later on again. The budgets will come into play more when we start building the timetable, and the size of the studio as well will come into play with regards to your KPIs as well. So let's say the size of the studio is 1,000 square feet and the budget for this studio is 1,000. So we'll add those in there. Add the studio, and then you will notice the studio is now added to my list of studios. You will also notice the active button on the right-hand side. So if at any point in time the studio is not available, for example, if you're doing refurbishments, if there's a maintenance issue and it needs to be out of action, this is where you will do that just by checking it off here. It will still appear on your list to reactivate at a later date, but it will be removed from your current schedules as well as your reporting until it's reactivated again. Okay, so adding your studios. Programs, again, if you did have the old club count, those should have all been pulled over. And you should see a list of the programs down the page here. If you have your own programs that you run, or you need to create your own programs, it's very easy to create the program up here. Just name the program. As you see, as I hover over this area, or these two areas here, it lets me know that these areas have to be very concise. So it's important that these are concise, because these will display on any of your printed timetables that you do print out and make available to your members, and they will all be also be displayed on your web timetable if you do post your timetable on your website. So please ensure that these two areas are as accurate as they should be. All right, so here we go, the name and description. Categories over here, so this is where all the details of your program is. So add what category this program falls into play, the intensity of the program, if it's a cycling program, space required per square foot. So this space footage requirements are calculated automatically based on an industry standard, as well as Les Mills has their own standards as well. But if you're putting on a class that everyone may need a little bit more or less room, you can actually override this. So let's say for this specific program, I might need a little bit more space for each participant. So I can change that. How long the class is, again, this can be overridden and changed. If it's a virtual class, and then this charge for drop-in and monthly fees. So for those of you that charge for drop-ins, meaning that you make your classes available to non-members for a fee, you can specify what that fee is here, and it will be included in some of the reporting. And you can also specify a license fee if that's something that you want to keep an eye on. If you don't use drop-in or license fees for your facilities, we can actually deactivate that. So just let us know. We can turn that off or toggle that off so you don't see it on this page. So once your program is created, in the middle of the page here, this is where you will see the first of the multi-site functionalities. So from here, you can create the program at all your locations, just at one location, or some of your locations. So let's say I want to create this specific program at some of my clubs. So within this demo site, I'm responsible for 5 locations. So let's say I want to create that program in 3 of these sites. And then once I press save, those programs, this program will be included on the group program page for those 3 sites that I told the system to make them available at. So let's take a look at some of the programs that are already created. These are the programs, some of the programs that are created within my demo site. You can also edit any of the programs that you've created as well. So you'll notice here for this body attack class, it's 60 minutes. It's enabled or available at one of my locations currently. I can view and edit here. So let's make some edits to this. Some of these areas you will not be able to edit because they are Les Mills branded. We're looking at some development on that, but currently some of this cannot be edited. Some of the space requirements can, and if you do have drop-ins and licensing fee, you can edit those as well. So let's say this program is going to be available at a number of my other locations. So edit clubs, and then my locations will come up, or my sites will come up. I want to add this program at all my other sites as well. Save. And you will notice now that this program is now listed, or will be listed or enabled at all my clubs. Okay, rather than just one location for this Body Attack 45 class. If I want to change that as well and add that to other locations, again, edit clubs, add all the sites that it's available at or will be available at, save. And again, you will see that it is now, or it will be, available at the other sites as well. Okay. Instructors. So again, if you did have the old club count, they would have been pulled across. All your instructors would be pulled across from your old club count. If you do have a new instructor, you need to add to your list. It's easy as adding new instructor, that person's name in here. Then you'll see a list of the locations that you are responsible for. Add whichever locations this instructor will be teaching at, whatever they are. Save. And then you will see that instructor added to your list of instructors, and it is alphabetical, so this person should be at the top of the list, which they are. So you'll see I'm at the top of the list, and I currently have no programs assigned to me. So it's important to assign programs to each instructor. You'll see some instructors already have programs assigned to tell the system that you will be placing this instructor on your schedules, and as well as telling the system what the instructor is paid, so you can actually pull a payroll report and also track the attendance. So editing programs. So from here, you will see that list of programs again that was created through this group program area. So from here, I can tell the system, the software, that I will be teaching Body Attack. And you will see that this Body Attack is available at a number of different locations, and I will be teaching at all those locations, so I can tell the system I'll be teaching at some or all by enabling the locations. And then from here, this is where you put in the pay rate. So depending on if you pay by the hour or pay by the class, that would go in here. So if I get paid the same per class across all sites, it's just a matter of putting it at the bottom. If I get paid different rates for each location, it's a matter of just adding that in individually. Okay. If you as an operator or as a site, also pay your instructors a bonus for minimum attendance, over minimum attendance within classes. This is where you can put that information in here. So for example, if the expected minimum attendance in this class is 20 members, that means that 20 or less members in this class, I would be paid a rate of $25 per class. If you pay a bonus of $1 for any additional member over 20, so if I had 22 people in this class at this specific location, if I had 22 people attend, I'd receive an extra $2 per class for that attendance or for that specific class. If you do not pay any bonuses for attendance, it's just a matter of leaving these both blank and they will not come into play. So if I save that, you will see now that I have one program assigned to me as an instructor. If I have a number of other programs that I teach, it's just a matter of adding those programs with my pay rate. And these pay rates will come into play again later on with some of the reporting and the timetables. I have 2 programs. You'll also notice that there is an edit button here. So this edit button will allow you to make any edits to this instructor's information, providing them a password if you want them to have access to the system, any changes in here, and also making any changes to sites that they can teach at or will be teaching at, and making those updates as well. There's also another feature, the ability to actually add notes. So this notes area will make you aware at the point of you building the timetable if your instructor is not available. So it could be that they're going on mat leave, maybe they don't work on weekends or don't have childcare on any specific day. This will allow you to add notes to make you aware when you start building the schedule that they don't have availability. So for instance, let's say Angela does not work weekends, no weekends. So when I attempt to book Angela on the weekends, the note will show up and let me know that she does not actually work weekends. So once all the information with the studios, the programs, and the instructors is there, we get to the point of building the schedules. And then all this information will become relevant. So to build your schedules, amend schedule. So again, if we pulled information from your own club count, you should already see your schedules, the studios and your schedules already built out. If it's new, you can build your own schedules. So let's go to that Studio 2 that I created as a new studio. Before I start building my schedule, I'm just going to open up the timetable info and settings. This will allow me to keep an eye on my budget that I set of $1,000 and my cost as I'm building that schedule. So what my cost will be as I'm building the schedule, so I can really keep an eye on it, make sure that I'm on track with my $1,000. So firstly, let's say the studio is not going to be available or will not come into play until August the 1st. So I want to start building the schedule for this new studio as of August the 1st or the last week of July. So first we need to start building the time slots. So add time slots. So do I want to add my time slots for the week or the weekend? Let's start for the weekend. When do I want my time slots to start in the morning? Let's say 7 a.m. How often do I want my time slots to run? So at this point I'll say every hour. And how long do I want my time slots to go for? So at this point, let's just say until 8 p.m. My last class will be at 8. Add time slots, and you'll see my weekend or my weekday time slots will be added here. If I wanted to add a one-off time slot, for instance, I wanted to add a 12:15 time slot, I can manually put that in and tell the system this will be a one-off only once. Add that time slot. So they won't run incrementally every 15 minutes, but you'll see my 12:15 time slot is now in there. Then I can add my time slots for the weekend. Same thing, Studio 2, this time for the weekends. This time I want them to start at 12. Let's say they run every 45 minutes, and I want them to run until 2:45, add my time slots, and it will add my time slots here. You can delete time slots as you like and add time slots as you like. So once the time slots are there, it's a matter of building your schedule. So it's as easy as just clicking on any one of these empty spots. And from here, you will see your list of programs come up again. So again, these are the programs that you have created through this group programs. If I open this drop-down screen, you can see all my programs here. So let's just pick body pump. Then how often do I want this time slot or this class to actually run? Do I want it to run as a temp class? So is it a one-off class? Is it a launch class? Every single day of the week, weekly, every 2 weeks, or every month? So every 2 weeks, if you have instructors that teach every 2 weeks, different instructors that teach the same class every 2 weeks, you have the ability to put that in here. Or if you have a class that runs every 2 weeks, you can do that here as well. So let's say this class will run weekly. This is where some of your targets come into play. So some of the targets that were set based on the size and size of the classroom. So let's say the capacity for this class is 28 based on the size of that room, but you may only have 25 pieces of body pump equipment. So in that respect, the maximum capacity would only ever be 25, so you can actually override that as well. And then your total target capacity, again, depending on what your targets are here, this can be overridden as well. So whatever that number is for your target. And again, drop-ins, if you do have those can be put in here, or again, we can deactivate that so you don't see it. Once that's set, you'll see a list of all the instructors that you have told the software can actually teach that class, again, through this instructor area where you've assigned the programs to the instructor. So you'll see here that someone does have a note. You'll see that Mike is highlighted with a note. So if I just click on here, it tells me that Mike is not available on Tuesdays. This class actually runs on Tuesday, so now I know not to book Mike for Tuesday. So let me pick Kathy to teach that class. So highlight Kathy here. So I've highlighted Kathy as the instructor. And then once I update that, it will add that class onto my schedule with Kathy as the instructor. And then if we move over to the right here, this budget area, you'll see now that I have a class on there, a program on there. There's one class and the cost so far is $19 for my $1,000 budget. So you continue to create your schedule in that way. I'm just going to keep with body pump so I can show you the differences in the cost here. So we'll pick body pump. The system will also allow you to include 2 instructors on a schedule. So let's say these 2 instructors will be teaching this class. So these 2 instructors will be teaching this class. So once I update, it will add both the instructors on that class schedule with their specific rate total for that class. And again, over on the right, you'll see my cost so far for that class. The software also will allow you to, if you do pay a percentage for a specific class, for instance, if your policy is to pay 75% of their rate per class when you're doing a launch class, or if they're in training, or whatever that reason is, you can also tell the system to pay a percentage of their class rate. So for instance, these 2 instructors will be teaching the class together, but one of the instructors is in training. So just by clicking on this class rate here, I can change the percentage. So this instructor will be paid 75% of their class rate for this specific class, and this instructor will be paid 75% as well for that class. Whoops. So once I update that, you'll notice that the cost for this class is now 75% of this specific, of the difference. So it's just a matter of continuing to build your schedule in that way. This time I'll pick body attack. Let's pick another instructor, update, and here you go. So I'm going to move to a studio that already has a number of classes on it. So let's go to the Studio 1 here, and I'm currently looking at the week of, okay. If I wanted to move back a week, it's just a matter of changing my date or moving back a week in this area here. Sorry, my system's a little bit slow today. So here we go. We're looking at August the 20th at this point. So let's say as of the 20th of August, this body pump class will be changed to something else. So you can easily change any of your classes on any given day. So let's take this body pump class at 6:30 as of the 20th. And it's not performing well, so we're going to change out that class to something else. So let's change it out to body attack. Pick an instructor. Update. So notice this body pump class as of the 20th will change to body attack. So if I move back a week to the week of the 13th, you'll notice that class is still body pump. So from that day moving forward, the 20th moving forward, that's when that change will become relevant. So again, if I move forward a week, you'll see that schedule's already built out with this body attack class changed. So it's very simple. If you do have changes that you want to make for future classes, for future schedules, it's very easy to navigate to that future date and make those changes now, and they will become relevant at that time. So once you are happy with what your schedules look like, how you've built your timetables, there are a couple of options in creating your member-facing versions of the schedule. So let me just close this out. So on the right-hand side here, you'll notice three icons. The first one we'll go through is the PDF icon. This is where you can create and print similar to your trifold that if you had the old CLUBCOUNT. So this is your customization area here, and it's just loading for me. The timetable will load in a minute. This is where you can make changes on, if you don't want a studio included on your printout, or if you want to change the order of your schedule of your studios, changing or adding logos, changing the color of your days and times here. So what that would look like. What your images, do you want the images added or not, your instructor names, and so on and so forth. Cover image and cover text as well. So if I scroll down here, you'll see that I have a cover image on mine currently, as well as some cover text as well. You can also add some text on the back as well. So once you're happy with how it looks, it's a matter of saving it and then downloading a PDF file. Just ensure that your orientation is correct, as well as your paper size. There is a legal size and an A4 size as well. Download it, and from here you can print it out and make it available if you do make hard copies available to your members. There is also the option to have it live on your web page. So again, on the right-hand side, this HTML button here. So if you do have a marketing team and you do have CSS brand standards that you must abide by, those brand standards can be loaded here, and the system will very easily change the timetable to reflect those brand standards. If you do not have brand standards, you can manually make the changes, again going through the manual button here. Very similar to that PDF, there's a customization area or customization table. Make any changes that you'd like to any of the tabs. So how you like your tabs to look, what colors you like them to be in, adding any logos and your timetable, what you like your timetable heading colors to look like, and so on. Again, once you're happy with that, it's a matter of saving the changes and then export. And you will provide this HTML code here To whomever is in charge of your website as a one-off task, they will copy and paste onto your website, and any changes you make on your schedule through the CLUBCOUNT software, it will automatically make that change on your website. So you do not need to go onto your website and make changes to your schedule. They will automatically be made once you've made those changes on your CLUBCOUNT schedule. So now that we've built the studios, we've built the programs, we have the instructors, we've created the schedule, you've created the schedule, and you're happy with how the schedule looks, we're on to the day-to-day recording of the attendance. So if we go to instructor, group attendance, once you log into this page, this will show all the classes that are on the schedule for that day at the specific location that I'm currently logged into. So you'll notice on the top side, on the top left-hand side here, if I click on this little icon here, it will show me that I'm responsible for 5 locations, so I can maneuver from location to location. Currently, I'm in my Harlow location, but if I did want to see or want to put in attendance for any of the other locations, I can easily go to those locations through here without having to log in and log out. So let's just stay with Harlow. So at this point, you'll see it automatically defaults to today. If I wanted to look at anything previous, I could look at those previous days as well. So from here, if everything goes as scheduled, so this class ran as scheduled, it was an RPM class, Paul actually taught the class. Again, if you don't have drop-ins, this will not be activated. I'll just put in 0 here. It's just a matter of tabbing over and putting in your attendance for those specific classes. Very easy, if they did go as scheduled. If this body pump class did not go as scheduled and it needed to be canceled because there was a leak in the studio, let's say. To do that, you would just go to Edit Details. And from here, you'll see there's a class canceled. Reason for cancellation, leak in studio. You also see a drop-down with a list of people who can actually make any updates or changes. Pick yourself. Update, and then you'll notice there'll be zeros across because this class was canceled. There's a difference between class canceled and 0 attendance. If a class is canceled, that means the instructor will not be paid. The class, the numbers will not reflect on your reporting. It will not pull down your averages. If you show 0 attendance in a class, that will mean that the instructor will get paid, and the numbers will also drag down your averages for your reporting. So just ensure that these are allocated properly. Whether it's a cancel class, ensure that you go through the canceled option, not just put in 0 attendance in there. Let's say this class here, this Crossworks class was it did go as a Crossworks class, but we needed to change the instructor. Natalie needed to get a sub because she could not teach that class. So again, through the Edit Class Details. So you'll notice there's a class instructor area here. We can remove Natalie, and then if I click on that again, there will be a list of instructors that can teach this class. Just pick the instructor that's relevant. You can put in your attendance here. And again, just ensure that whoever's updating is pulling up their name and update that. And then you'll notice this is still a Crossworks class, but we have a different instructor now. And again, this class went as scheduled, but you had 0 attendance. It's a matter of just putting 0 attendance in here. This RPM class did not go as scheduled and needed to be canceled. Cancel class, say leak in studio again. You can change it, whatever that is. Update. Let's change an instructor here. Whoever updated it, update, and you'll see the instructor change. Okay. This small icon on the top here, if you see if I hover over it, it says there's unrecorded attendance. This means in previous days. So if I just click on that, that will provide me with all the days that I have some attendance missing for those specific days. So if I click on any one of those days, it will maneuver to those days and it will show me that there are 2 classes, 3 classes that have unrecorded attendance. So I can easily go in there and actually record my attendance. Once that's been recorded, it should drop from your list. Same thing, I can maneuver to another day. Shows me that there's no attendance here. I can add that attendance and so on. It's important to ensure that all the attendance is in here because it will affect your reporting. It will also affect if the instructor is going to be paid or not if you are using the payroll reports here. So once we're done recording the attendance under the instructor group attendance, we can start to look at the reporting capabilities. So the first report I will show you is that snapshot report that I showed you earlier. So if we go to Manager, Timetable Report. Again, this is a snapshot in any point in time. I'm going to go to a studio that actually has some time. Any point in time, depending on what you filter. So currently I have the month of June filtered. It will always default to the previous month. So currently I have the month of June filtered. And again, the 3 KPIs, the key KPIs, are your cost per head, your attendance target, and your attendance capacity percentages. And they are rated from best to worst, basically, based on those KPIs that are set within the system. So here I can quickly see that anything red is of concern. So I can see that my 6:30 classes are not performing as well as maybe my afternoon classes here. So from here, I can quickly see which classes are of concern. So I can quickly drill down into any of one of those classes just by clicking on that specific class. And it will provide me a drill down of all the classes that have happened in that month. Body pump, 6:30 in the morning, who taught those classes, what the attendance was. So from here I can see maybe I've changed instructors halfway through the month and I saw a drop in my attendance, or maybe I changed the instructors and I saw an increase in attendance, or maybe this is a new class that I've just put on that I know about and I'm trying to build that attendance. So whatever those challenges are, you'll be able to really identify and see a history of what's going on within those classes and potentially make a change if necessary. The other reports, if we go into reports, group fitness performance. So this will give you a snapshot again of how your entire group fitness performance is doing in any specific location. So again, you can filter per location. You can show all clubs, and I apologize, this wasn't working for me today, but by clicking on here, if I had 5, because I have 5 locations within the demo site, it should list all my locations here. So that's what you would see if you had more than one location, or you can show all clubs combined. At this point, I'll just stay at the show a single location. So this gives you the performance of all your group performance programs as a total. Then you can drill down into individual program performance, individual class performance, average class performance, individual time slots, and then your instructor performance, and then your instructor by program. So if we go to instructor performance, for instance, you can start to see all your instructors, and you can start comparing your instructors by cost per head, those KPIs again, your target capacity, your target or your capacity percentages. And you can also filter each of these and sort them from your best to worst. So we can look at who's your best performing instructors, or who are your worst performing instructors, depending on what you want to look at, whether it's your target percentage capacity or your cost per head. And here's your opportunity for potential training or looking at other things that might be of issue. And again, individual class performance, there's a number of different reports in here, so you have an opportunity to really drill down and really look at which of your programs are performing at the capacity that you want. The payroll report, because you now have your instructor pay rates and you're tracking the classes the classes that have taken place and which instructors have taught which classes. Again, this is your ability to use the system to manage your payroll reporting. So again, depending on the filter dates here, and if you want to look at individual sites, if you want to look at all your instructors on a list, or you want to look at individual instructors, you can pick your individual instructors as well. So I'm just going to pick Angela at this point. You can also look at, I'm going to pick another time frame because I don't have a lot in here for her for the month of June. So I'm going to pick July, or excuse me, don't have much in there for July. I'm going to pick June. So here we go. This is Angela for the month of June. These are all the classes that she taught. Her pay rate, if you did pay bonuses, those would be included here as well. And the system is showing that she should be paid $120 for all the classes that she actually taught in June. So from here, you can provide a CSV file, export a CSV file or a PDF file, and provide this to your accounting team or your payroll team, and they can pay your instructors through this report. Again, the only caveat to this, obviously, is the instructor needs to be in there, their pay rate needs to be in there, and they must have logged attendance, or you must have logged attendance for the classes that they actually taught. Other reports that you will start using maybe later on, your group detailed chart reports if you are doing a presentation to an exec team or regional team, or your clubs, your regional clubs, your sites. You can actually pull some data charts as well, and I apologize, I don't have a lot of information in here, but it'll give you an idea. So this is my cost per head. You know, if I had more time frames in here, you would see different time frames as well. Right now I only have 2015 in a couple of months. So you can look at cost per head, your costs, your capacity targets, your capacity percentages, your total visits, if you're tracking your total visits, your target percentages, so you can start really seeing visually how you're performing on charts as well. And again, you can also look at and filter per location. Monthly comparison numbers. This is your attendance comparison numbers. I don't have, yeah, there we go. So your total visits within your facility, how many of those visits were actually Group X, based on, again, that attendance number that's being put in there, and then the percentages and the amount of hours. And then you can start looking at group ROI as well later on. All right, so the final part that I'm going to go through, and I left this for last, so it'll be fresh in your mind. It will be the first thing that you'll need to do when you actually log in, and that's managing your access to the system, both for yourself and also updating, maybe changing your access password, your login password, and also creating and updating logins for your team. So if you go to Manager, Instructor Admin, again, you'll see your list of instructors. And you'll also notice that there are two types of credentials, an administrator credential and an instructor credential. So if you're providing logins and credentials for your team members as an instructor, this will provide them or allow them to see anything that's under this instructor tab. So group attendance, they can log in their group attendance and they can just view the schedule. They can't make any changes to the schedule. They will not be able to pull reports. They can't see any payroll information. They can't make any edits. They can't create passwords, and so on. If there's an administrator credential, that will allow you access to everything that you saw today. So from viewing the schedules, changing the schedules, looking at payroll, reporting, financial information, you'll have the ability to look at all the stuff that I showed you today. There is also an additional access for instructor. So if you want to make any changes to any of your team members on here, just find your team member, click on that team member's name, and this is where you can make any edits. So if they had a name change, if you want to provide them, if they've forgotten their password, you can provide them another password or update their password if they have an email address. And also you will notice that there are a number of locations, again, because I am responsible for more than 5 locations. Maybe this instructor will not be teaching at a number of other locations, so it's a matter of just changing their ability to see locations as well. So make those changes as necessary. Then the other level of access for an instructor would be this timetable management for instructor. So by enabling this, this is an instructor level that you've given responsibility to make any changes to the timetable, but they still will not be able to see any of the reporting, any of the financial information. It will allow them access to the group attendance, the view timetable, as well as amend timetable. Okay. If you did want to provide access or create a new person within the system, you would just do this under instructor create. So instructor create, go through the process, fill in all this information. Their login ID will be their email, and their password will be their password that you've provided to them. Go back here. Right, so if you want to make any changes here, login ID will be their email address and their password will be the password that you've provided for them. Okay, so if I wanted to make changes to Andrew, for instance, I want to give him administrator level, I can change that. We'll leave his password as whatever it was, but now he'll be teaching at 2 additional locations, so we will add those here so he has access to it. And then it's a matter of updating, and the system will tell you that the update has been successful. So there you go. So that's an overview of your new CLUBCOUNT, or your CLUBCOUNT if you haven't used it or it's new to you totally. Again, before I finish off or open it up for questions, just to recap, so you don't forget to look for the help areas. On the right-hand side here, you'll see a small icon. This is your tutorials. This is where you will see an overview of everything that we went through today and give yourself a refresher. On the bottom right-hand side, this is the help function. So if all else fails, this is where you can put a help desk ticket in as well. You can see frequently asked questions, shorter webinar tutorials similar to what you saw today. All right, so at this point, I will open it up for any questions that you may have, and I will be happy to answer any questions that you may have. So if you can just pop them in the little chat box on the right-hand side, that would be great. So question about how to post on your website. So again, under amend timetable, once you are happy with what your schedule looks like, so if I just go to a studio that actually has something on it, let me go to Studio One. On the right-hand side, HTML, your customization tab will come up on the right-hand side. If you do have some brand standards you need to abide by, you can actually load them here. If not, go to manual, your customization area will come up. Make any changes here. Once you're happy with how your timetable will look on your web page, save the changes, export the HTML, provide this code to your web team as a one-off. They'll paste it onto your website. Then your schedule will be posted on your website. Any changes that you make on your schedule within the CLUBCOUNT will automatically be uploaded to your website. Let's see other questions here. Is there an option for 30-minute attack? I only see 45 and 60 minutes. Yes, there are options for those. We are currently just waiting for LMI because these are all LMI approved programs. We're waiting for information from them before we actually post them. We do need to get approval and all the information, logos, and so on from them. So that's what we're waiting for. So we're hoping to get those up within the next, hopefully the next week. Other question about printing the schedule. If I have more than one studio, will it print on one page or will it print on page for each studio? It will print on one page depending on how big your studio, how big your program is, obviously. Let me just show you that. So depending on how big your programs are, it might print on 2 pages. But if you only have 2 studios with a shorter program list, obviously it will print on 1 page. Again, the paper size, you can actually pick legal size as well. So if you do have 3 studios, for instance, and a shorter program in each of those studios, then it will print on that 1 page. Let me just download so I can give you an idea of what that looks like. Hopefully it'll quickly come up. So unfortunately, I don't have anything on that studio. Whoops, forgot to change the orientation. There we go. Let me just change the orientation to portrait as well. Save. And then let's look at that. So yes, depending on the size of your programs, obviously, and how many studios you do have. But again, this software will never be static either, so we're constantly looking for feedback. We're constantly looking at improving the software as well. So please give us your feedback. Let us know if there's any improvements that you would like to see as well. You can provide those through that help desk button, and we will continue to look at those as well. So this is just an example of what it would look like. Okay. Other questions? I don't see any other questions at this point. Any questions? Nope, doesn't look like it. Okay, so thank you very much. Again, if you did not receive your login credentials, you should be receiving those within the next couple days or next week. Also with those logins, they do come from me. So if you do have any questions, you can reach out to me directly or through the help desk portal, like I said. There will be links to additional webinars as well within those logins, within that email. So thank you very much for joining me today, and I hope you enjoy using the software. Have a great day.